So if you
Right.
can summarize and put into a quick tip, I guess, or tips. I mean, we've been more on the business side of things this morning, but
Sure.
how can just the average consumer do a better job of protecting themselves from something silly as being sued for coffee being too hot, or a hot pickle, as silly as that sounds as well? I mean, just from having people over at their house doing things,
Tripping on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess there's kind of two questions there. One is, from a consumer perspective, realize that what's going on with the court system, that your ability to get your lawsuit through the system may be more difficult, may not be, but it seems to be. It's more difficult. And what you can do is you can understand on the front end what you're getting into. That means read the documents that are put in front of you.
Right.
Understand. That's especially true. I meant to mention this earlier, but with regard to arbitration, there used to be a time in the state system when state courts were very reluctant to send consumers to arbitration. Federal courts were much more liberal about that. We're now at a point where a lot of state courts will send you to arbitration. So your ability to say, well, look, I didn't see that was in the contract, or I didn't initial next to that provision in the contract, and so don't send me to arbitration. Let me pursue my lawsuit. That's a lot more conservative now, in my opinion, than what it used to be. And what you can do on the other side, if you're a residence owner or a business owner, a small business, what I've said is draft your documents. If it's a release, if it's a contract, draft those as simple as possible, as straightforward as possible, but try to cover all the different situations and scenarios that can arise. And then when something happens, and I think this is really important that sometimes businesses don't do, David does it all the time, but consider what's happened, go investigate it. You may find that you did something wrong. I'm not saying go and necessarily admit liability on that, but you can say something to the effect of, this did not turn out the way that we would have preferred or intended, and here's how we're going to make it up to you. But that investigation part, if you just ignore it, ignoring things in law usually doesn't turn out good for anybody.
Yeah.
And if you ignore it, it just gets worse and worse. So go investigate it, and then if it comes to a lawsuit, then you need to hire appropriate counsel to defend yourself and your interests in that particular suit. If you own real estate as an investment purpose and you're renting it out to commercial or to residential tenants, think about a waiver, because you can eliminate, at least with regard to basic negligence, you can eliminate a lot of frustration with that person saying, look, I understand this and I'm not going to sue you. And then there's other things you can do with requiring insurance and things like that. But waivers are going to become more and more popular in Tennessee as business goes on. They're very popular, as I said, in California, and it's going to be, I think, the new way that business is done as things get more regulated, no matter what they say at the federal level.